questions in the chat box. Now over to you, sir.
So, a very good morning to all of you. I hope I'm audible to everyone. And on the outset, let me thank the organizers for having me for this session on mental health. I thank all the organizers like the principal, the coordinators for inviting me. On behalf of Central University of Kashmir, my Vice Chancellor, Professor Mirajuddin Mir, and Dean School of Education, Zawur Ahmed Gilani, sir, I bring greetings to one and all. So let us begin with the presentation. The topic for this presentation is on mental health and well-being. Let me begin with some thoughts about the world around us. And before that, I'll start off with the objectives. What are the objectives for this presentation? The first objective is that gain awareness about the concept of mental health. And the next one is understand the issues and challenges involved in shaping a positive mental health. The third one being reflect on one's own mental health, that is identifying your potentials. And the last one is develop value and skills to perceive light at the end of the tunnel at all the time. That is well-being. So shall we begin? Right. I want you to look back at the 21st century. Just some thoughts to reflect upon. Now, as it is seen in the screen, world has become a global village. If you see around, there is greater connectivity between people. Individuals are empowered. No more kings to order or rulers. No individual rights, personal freedom, and space. We can pick and choose what we want or desire. Now, everything is available to us. Greater recognition of individuals than ever before. Reality TVs. After the growth of IT sector, there is a lot of recognition that individuals are gaining more and more recognized. Creative expressions at the individual level has increased. You see in Facebook, the videos which you see there, the WhatsApp, the messages which are seen, every individual is contributing. Lot of people, we are coming across many people through these mediums. Better facilities, transportation, education, business, whatever it is. Next slide. Scientifically advanced. Variety of choice and everything is available before us. We have a lot of things. If you want to buy a TV, you have variety. If you want to buy a food, you have a variety of foods. If you want to search for a hotel, you have variety. If you want to buy a mobile, you have variety. Variety, you can choose and pick. Access and affordability. Internet is there. Instant coffee is there. Mobile applications are there. You can fill up your application form online instantly, anytime, every time. If you pay the price, you get all the services by sitting at the home. If we want to make an impact for the world to see, one can. We have a lot of access to technology that by sitting at home, we can do wonders by creating a video or writing a poem and publishing that. And you see many people can see you. Even now we are sitting at home and we are able to interact. So you don't know me, but I don't know you, but you all come to know about me, through this medium. This kind of impact the world is giving us now. And the other thing is that we have a beautiful brain, extraordinarily capable brain, which can function more effectively in this free atmosphere. So now, if you just think about 2 centuries back, I said that we don't have any of these, but now we have everything with us. So the question is that what have we done with all these facilities and opportunities? Do we feel comfortable? Are we satisfied? And if so, to what extent? We have enormous facilities within our disposal, and still we are finding a lot of challenges in our life. No, at least are we happy and content? Where do we stand? This is the time to reflect upon. If you just talk to our parents or our seniors, elders, they would say we walk 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers for water. Now, if you open the tap, it is available 24 hours. No, Lord, many works are made simple. It is adding comfort to our lives. But what has it changed in us? If you go through the next slide, I just want you to reflect on these lines, right? Has life really improved? I want to ask you questions like this. Has life really improved? Yes or no? Yes. In the 21st century, we have improved a lot. Has it empowered? Yes. It has empowered you to do many things, more things. My son is working on computers. My son is able to use internet. My daughter who is 6 years old, she is also using internet. She's able to see, use it, draw. No, we are empowered to do small, big things at a very young age. If we want to go from here to Tirunelveli, we catch a train. No, within 12 hours we reach there. Have we changed? Yes, we have changed a lot, right? Because of all these technology, because of their influence. Do we have the best of things with us? Yes, I have a beautiful cell phone. You have a wonderful cell phone. You have laptops. We have internet. No, so we have all the best of facilities. We have 4G connections. No, then do we feel that you are the best? We have everything is very good for us. The entire surrounding, the entire atmosphere is completely changed. But are we the best? Is the big question one should ask yourself. And if not, why or what do you feel is lacking in you? Where are we lacking? If I ask you that question, where are we lacking? Or are we lack in everything? If you analyze yourself, we have everything. We have a beautiful brain. We have a beautiful setup. We have a beautiful environment, right? We are working. We are studying. No, are we the best? Are we studying in a better way, or are we an excellent? Are we doing our job in an excellent manner? Are we the best in whatever we are doing? The question is, many times we say, still we are lacking in everything. Then what could be the reason? I was just thinking, what is the reason? Why are we failing so bad? What have we done all these days? We are living here. What have we done? If you could identify that, then my job for today's presentation is fulfilled. So I just want you to keep on reflecting on this. Life has improved. It has empowered. We have changed a lot. We have the best of things, but we are not the best. Why? That is a very, very important question every individual should answer. Now we'll go to the next slide. The next slide, I'm just bringing about the concept of health and well-being. Now, the World Health Organization has defined health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. So physical health, we all have reasonably good health. Mental health, are we healthy? Yes, we are healthy, right? We are mental, we are able to do things, we are able to respond, we are able to interact, we are able to use things, we are using our brain, we are stable. Social aspect, social well-being, yeah, we have friends, we have relatives, we have family, we are having relationships. So we are healthy, right? As per this definition. Huber has proposed another way of defining health. He has done it quite recently in 2011. The ability to adapt and self-manage. So the definition of health is changing. It is not that we have to have a physical health or a mental health or mental well-being or social well-being. It also involves the ability to adapt as well as to manage self. It's very, very important point. Ability to adapt. It's a very, very crucial thing, as well as to manage self. So we'll go to the next definition on well-being, right? Well-being Institute at the University of Cambridge has defined it as positive and sustainable characteristics which enable individual to thrive and flourish. What does well-being mean? Well-being is defined as a positive and sustainable characteristics which will empower the individual to thrive and flourish. When I was starting off the definition of health, I said we are healthy physically, mentally, and socially. Now just relate that with this one. Are we positive enough? Are we have a sustainable character? Are we thriving and flourishing? No, we are not. In the previous slide, we are talking about, are we the best? Are we thriving in our profession? Are we teaching in an extraordinary manner? Are we flourishing? Are we enjoying the art of teaching? If you are a student, are you doing it justice to your course? No, are you preparing it with seriousness? Well-being is defined like this. You are positive, you have to thrive and flourish in whatever you do. You know, the other thing about well-being is given by the PREMA Prema model, which talks about positive emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. So health and well-being are internally connected, right? From the definition, the first definition to this point, all are mutually involved or intertwined together. Right from the beginning, we are doing things which we are not supposed to. No, if you just imagine our life, right from the beginning, we are doing a lot of things which we are not supposed to do. For example, like thriving and flourishing. Why are we not thriving in our areas? We are a teacher means why are we not flourishing? No, if you just go back, many times we suffer or we do things which we are not interested. For example, if you ask the student, why did you join B.Ed program? My father asked me to study this course. So it is not your interest or it is not your choice, but it is somebody else's pressure that made you join that particular course. And what happens, even though you get a government job at a later point of your life and economically stable, but you are not thriving, you are not flourishing in that teaching field, you are not enjoying. When will the summer break come? Now we think like that very often. No, why? Because in the beginning we choose, we have we have selected a thing which is not based on our choice, right? So and this affects us, and this affects our progress, or it is decreasing the speed of our progress. Now going by, so let us go to the next slide. It talks about well-being, a very important statement. This usually my guide, my professor used to say this: we are all born to live, but conditioned to lose. What does this mean? We are all born to live. Just imagine, just think about your life. God has created us with extraordinary talents. We have extraordinary capabilities. We have extraordinary lot of facilities, wide variety of facilities. We are born free, but we are conditioned to lose. We are trained to lose. We have been given trained to lose. No, uh, example: teacher generally starts off with, sometimes uh, you are not good in mathematics. No, you need to work hard. Just the previous slide. Yeah, previous slide, please. Yeah. Um, Parents censor the child saying, you don't know that, so keep quiet. These sort of statements make us weak, make us doubt our own selves. No, we train our mind, we instruct our mind that this is not possible, this is not easy for me, this is difficult for me. By doing so, we are conditioning, we are telling our mind not, we are instructing our mind in a negative manner. So in the process, what happens, the slide very clearly says, we don't know what we are doing. In the process, we limit our thinking, we lose our originality, we lose our identity, talk about our inability and difficulty, and worry about failure. No, we limit ourselves. if you are asked to give a presentation, for example, in the class, we limit our thinking, say, this is difficult for me. Even though you are capable, even though it is simple, we limit our thinking. First, we instruct ourselves, this is very difficult. Why should I do it? Then when we limit our thinking, we lose our originality. We are born free. Now we are restricting ourselves. So you are losing your originality. When you lose your originality, you lose your identity, who you are, your natural abilities, your natural characteristics, everything gets lost. And what happens? We talk about inability, difficulty. We always talk about what is not possible, what cannot be done. We never talk about what can be done. We always talk about what we cannot do and how it is that we cannot do it. No? So, and worry about failures. Finally, what we do, we end up worrying. Will I do it? You are anxious. Now, every time and most of the time, this is our life cycle. Our thought process is like we limit our thinking, we lose our originality, we lose our identity, talk about inability, and worry about failure. This is a cyclic process which has to be broken. Just think about a person, yeah, the familiar story which comes into my mind is that generally teachers used to tell the story. When a teacher draws a circle on the board and asks the students to see, and I ask them, what do you see? Many students, they come up with saying that, what is there in the dot? No? And finally, the teacher explains that the dot is only one part or a very small part in this board. Most of them are free white spaces. So you as a student should look at the space which is around you and do not limit yourself. This thinking which we do, when we limit it, we don't see the entire world. Even though we have a lot of facilities, we have a lot of opportunities, we limit our thinking only to that particular dot. In the process, we lose our life. Moving on to the next slide. So let me define, in this context, let me define what is mental health. All right. This definition has already been told by when a person was introducing about this session. But anyhow, we'll once again go with mental health refers to the cognitive, behavioral, and emotional well-being. So it talks about the ability to think, the ability to react, and the emotional state in which you are reacting. So the second one, which is about the World Health Organization, which has defined mental health as a state of well-being in which individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope up with the abilities, can cope up with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make contribution to his or her community. So what does this mean? A state of well-being. Mental health is a state of well-being in which the individual, you or I as an individual, have to realize our own abilities. Have we realized it? If you're mentally healthy, if you consider yourself to be a healthy person, you should know who you are, right? You should know what are your capabilities, right? Many of us don't know who we are. We are studying about maths, we are studying about chemistry, we are studying about sun, moon, earth, geography. But if we are asked to tell or speak about yourself for 10 minutes, we struggle. We don't know what to speak. No, we don't know what are your strengths, what are your abilities. When we don't know who we are, how can a person who is recruiting you will take you for his needs? No, so you should know who you are. If you are not knowing, then you cannot also thrive. You cannot progress. The second one is can cope up with normal stresses of life. We have a lot of facilities, lot of abilities, lot of opportunities, lot of capabilities, but we surrender or we fall down when small obstacles come in the way. No. One study says that according to the Federation of Commerce, it says 20% of the engineers who are available in the market are fully prepared. That means 80% of students who have completed their engineering, they are unqualified, not fit for job. Why? They are not realized their own potentials. They are not serious enough. So why this has happened? because we are not choosing based on our interests. We are not choosing based on our abilities. We are choosing based on the environment, maybe parents, but we are not choosing based on our own abilities. In the process, you struggle in engineering course, you struggle in getting a job, you struggle in facing life. The same thing happens to a graduate from B.Ed or M.Ed. Why did you choose this course? If I ask you, why did you choose? My father said, my mother said. No, it is not based on your ability. Then where you lead? No, it leads to some kind of issues in the later stage. A state of well-being where individual realizes you are not able to realize your own potential. No, can't cope up with normal stresses of life. Now everything becomes big and big. Your problems become bigger and bigger. And then it will lead you, if you have a positive mental health or you have an appropriate mental health, you can work productively and fruitfully and is able to make contribution to his or her own community. Now if you see, I last 1 or 15 days before, I saw some government teachers were organizing seminars. I saw a lot of talents in those government teachers. They were organizing these webinars. They were talking about all the latest software for teaching, you know. And I was thinking, how are they doing it? These are all simple government teachers. How they are doing it? No, they are contributing it for they are contributing to his or her community. They are taking online class. They are taking counseling sessions. No, on their own. Government is thinking about preparing a TV program now. But I saw a lot of teachers who are government teachers who are doing a lot of difference in spite of this lockdown. They are contributing to their community in a positive way. Why? Because they have realized their potential. That's why they are able to make a difference. While the others complained about no time, but they have time for doing that work as well as taking care of their family. It means that they are enjoying it, right? So you as an individual should realize your potential, especially the students who are at the younger age. You should realize, try to find out who you are. Only then your future will be better. You have spent 20 years. If you prepare yourself, if this 20 years is prepared positively, then you can face the next 60 years in a positive manner. So it is very, very important to have a positive or mental health, which helps you to realize one's own self. Right. Now, going to the next definition, next slide talks about another definition, which is also saying that mental health is how a person thinks, feels, and acts when faced with life situation. How are we facing our life? How we feel about it? We are feeling worried or we are confident? We are happy or sad? No, many of us have worries about future. No, it is how people look at themselves, their lives. So it is reflection of yourself, right? Their lives and how other people in their lives evaluate their challenges and problems and explore choices. This includes handling of stress relating to other people and making decisions. So it is about how we think, how we feel, how we act, you know, and how we relate to our surroundings. So just a reminder to my dear students here, it's about, until now you are under your parents' support and guidance. But after completing your courses, no, you are expected to stand on your own, face the world, take decisions, handle situations, and expect the unexpected every time and all the time. So it is for you to have an appropriate mental health. Life is full of challenges. If you're not going to realize who you are, if you're not going to identify the potentials which you have within you, definitely the next 40 to 60 years is going to be a huge challenge. So it is the right time for you to realize who you are, right? The world, now you have all the support. Your parents are taking care of you nicely, but you ask all the people who are married, they're all alone. They have to face the life all alone. And for that, you need to have a stable mental health. No, but on the contrary, I also want to add, the next slide is that mental health or mental illness is not a personal failure. Why do I say that? This was said by the World Health Organization director in 2001. It is a society's failure to engage. This is the other side of it, right? We all have a lot of challenges. I was just quoting my professor's saying which said we are born to live, conditioned to lose. Who is conditioning us? It is the society, the environment, parents, teachers, no, our way of education system. No, these things has to be positive. So that's why mental health is not considered to be a personal failure. If we change the environment, if we change the way we deal with our society, or if we change the way we talk to our children. No, for example, when my son does something wrong, no, immediately I point out this is wrong. When a student makes a mistake, immediately the teacher points out that there is a mistake. No, we immediately we point out the mistakes. So what happens? The individual, the student identifies those factors and internalizes it. This you are not, for example, like the teacher says, this problem is difficult for you. The student immediately internalizes it. Yes, this is difficult for me. What happened? He conditions it. Next year, he goes to next max class. He says, Max, yes, this, if he fails in doing a problem, he suddenly remembers the thought flashes in his mind that the teacher told me it is difficult. So he generalizes it. Max is very difficult for me. So what happens? He conditions that. If he misses out a particular problem, he generalizes, yeah, Max teacher told me I am not good. And he values it and he internalizes it. So he is the society. So you as a teacher, you as a parent, we should give an appropriate social, psychological, emotional setup for our children so that they are brought up in an environment where they can thrive and flourish, where they can express their originality. We are not supposed to censor our children. Don't do this, don't do that, don't touch it, don't do it. Be careful. This is wrong. When you use words like this is going to help them get conditioned to all the negative thoughts, and that affects their behavior. And when they grow up in the later stage, during adolescence, they say, I cannot do it. I won't do it. I don't like it. They started using the terms which we taught them. So that's why it said mental health issues is not a personal failure. It is our society's failure to engage your children in a positive and a constructive manner. So to further elaborate on the seriousness of this issue, I'm just going to talk about I'll just quote some statistics just to get some more broad perspective about this. The first point is that 1 in 5 American adults will have a diagnosable mental health condition in a given year. 1 in 5 Americans. 20% of Australians experience mental health issues. 25% of population suffer from depression and anxiety in Europe. 25%. Imagine it is massive. 1 in 4 people in the world will be affected by mental health disorders, mental health issues. This clearly shows the problem is not regional, it is universal. It is developed. These statistics are all from the developed countries. They are struggling. Now, where are we? Now, if you go to the next slide, you talk about in India, 1 in 20 people in India suffer from depression. 1 in 20, we have 130 crores. Imagine. Nearly 1% of the population reported high suicidal risk. Just remember the first slide. We have enormous opportunities. We have a beautiful brain. Our brain has a memory capacity of 25 lakh gigabytes. Our brain capacity, memory capacity is 25 lakh gigabytes. And the processing speed of our brain is of the order of 10 power 13 to 10 power 16. Some research is saying that 10 power 13 to 10 power 16. We have this kind of a brain, and we have a quite advanced society around us. Still, 1% of our population out of 130 crore, more than 1 crore 30 lakh people think of committing suicide. Why? This is a very serious question. What kind of mental state they are in? These people are not mentally disordered people. No, they are not mentally challenged people, differently able people. They are normal people like you and me. No, they are normal people. They are not able to face exams. They see failure in certain things, and they start thinking that world is over for them. No, normal people like you and me, are included in this 1% population. No, you have a lot of disorders in terms of tobacco usage. Many people are using. They are not able to do without it. They are not able to live. Nearly 1.9% of the population were affected by severe mental disorders in their lifetime. Severe is little more critical. No, it talks about disorders, and it also talks about your mental retardation and all these things, right? So close to 2% are going to suffer. So where are we heading for? 2% means 2.5 crore people. We have not even seen 1 crore in rupees. We have never seen 1 crore rupees cash, but 2 crore people are going to suffer. 2 crore people are quickly going to get affected. Where are we heading for? We have best infrastructure. We are talking about all the colleges. We are talking about education system. Where are we heading for? You talk, even children are not, they are not escaping from this. They are also there, part of their stress. They are feeling stress because of lot of pressures in terms of education, social pressures, peer pressures, adolescent pressures. It all adds to their stress levels. Tomorrow it can be you also. When you finish your B.Ed, when you finish your M.Ed, when you finish your degrees, what I'm going to do? Now we have corona impact, the job markets are coming down. Are we prepared? Can we thrive? Can we flourish? If you have a proper mental health, if if you have trained your mind to be positive, then definitely there is a way out. So where are we lacking in, or where are we heading for, or where lies the problem? To just identify some of them, I'm just going to the theoretical aspects of mental health, right? The first one I've talked about is uh, the early childhood experience. This I mentioned before also. The way you deal with your children. The psychoanalytic theory talks about unconscious psychological processes. Many things which are happening within us that affects our behavior, that affects our thought process. Early experiences, childhood experiences can affect your present life, can affect your future. No, so a lot of unconscious thoughts can affect you. See, for I have given an example, a picture is shown there, anger. If a teacher scolds you, what do you have to do? What you will do? Either you consciously suppress it or repress it. No, suppressing involves consciously you don't think about it, keep quiet. Okay, keep quiet. Repression involves denying it. Teacher has never, you just smile. When student asks you why the teacher scolded you, he didn't scold me, he was just saying something. No, you repress it. No, lot of unconscious lot of things which are happening in the unconscious level affects our behavior. So we have to give a positive experience for the child. The second thing is, so unconscious feeling, what I want to say is that unconscious psychological process are a very important factor in affecting your mental health. So you as an individual should provide the children with all the positive experiences so that they don't have any negativity inside their mind. Even the other example which comes into my mind is that if a teacher scolds, right, there is definitely the child is going to be upset. The individual is going to feel bad, right? So he has this negative energy formed inside his unconscious level or conscious level. He is having it. And the next period, for example, is something like a PT period or a physical education period. What happens? Science teacher comes and say there is special class. No, so what happens to the child? Already the child is in a state of imbalance. Now the physical education period, so he's thinking about going and enjoying the physical education period, but science teacher comes and says there is a special class. So what happens is this negative energy which is inside him, which has to come out, that channel has been blocked. So in the process, that channel is stopped and it is pressed into the unconscious level. If it is an physical education period, the child will go out and kick the football and kick it with energy so that his negative energies will be transferred and come out in the form of a game. So he will be free for the next period. He'll be relaxed for the next period. He'll be prepared for the next period. Many times when we censor our children, shut up, keep quiet, you don't know that. the child thinks, yeah, I should keep quiet. No, yeah, this is the example which I wanted to say, which came into my mind. Like in our homes, no, we talk about gender. A lot of gender stereotypes are there. Washing vessel. Who does this washing of vessels at home? Female gender. Who goes to shop? Male gender. You know, now the girl child will ask, why am I washing shop? Why am I washing vessels? Why not the brother wash the vessels? What will the mother's response be? Keep quiet. No, then the girl child will think, why only I should wash? Why not boy? But the child doesn't have answers. So as she grows up, everybody says she is a very good girl. She does all the home related work nicely. So she suppresses it. She internalizes it. But still it is there in the unconscious level that she is doing washing, but my brother is not washing. This affects her behavior. Then it reflects like, oh, girls can do only this, boys can do this, so girls cannot question. So whatever activity she is involved in, maybe interacting with the principal at school, she will keep quiet, because unconsciously she has been trained that I cannot speak, this is culturally prohibited. So this is how it affects their behavior. In the process, it affects their originality, it affects their thinking, it affects their thriving to excel. So it is a continuous chain of events. This is what psychoanalytic theory talks about the unconscious feelings, which has to be brought out. The second theory, which is about behaviorist theory. What does behaviorists say? Behaviorists say that the way we reinforce, right, has a huge impact on our thought process or mental health. No, it talks about conditioning. If we give recognition to negativity, you are not a good singer, you are not good in mathematics, and that gets reinforced, that becomes internalized, right? You are not good for this job. No, the Fair and Lovely example. No, just 20 years before, tell me how many of you would have used Fair and Lovely? Now, before going out, everybody puts Fair and Lovely, Fair and Handsome. This becomes part of you. Nobody is going to become pink, but everybody uses it. They feel that only when you apply it, I look fresh. We are conditioned. The advertisement has conditioned you. The advertisements they make in such a way that they make you do. They make you internalize that value, without which I don't look good. I'm not looking better. So reinforcements, the negative reinforcements, the negative values are taken up from society. So if you give positive values, definitely the mind will take up a lot of positivities. So recognition is very, very important. So you have to give proper recognition and positive recognition to have a positive mental health. This all has to happen from the childhood, right? The next theory which I am focusing on is cognitive theory, right? What does cognitive theory talk about mental health? No, cognitive theory says that the problem lies in irrational beliefs. What do you mean by rational? Clear thinking. What do you mean by irrational? Not clarity in your thought process. No, um, it is difficult. It is not possible. No, for example, if a teacher asks in the classroom, right, how many of you can sing? I want people to come forward and sing. Now, is singing difficult? Any human being who can speak can sing. Nobody is asking you to sing like an American Idol or an Indian Idol. Teacher asks, can you sing? But what thought comes into our mind? I cannot sing. I am not good. He can, she can, I cannot. No, irrational belief. Yeah. So like this, we have lot of irrational beliefs. My son used to, for example, my son likes a particular chocolate, right? But when I take him, for example, you just imagine like this, when I take to a shop and my daughter sees that, and first she says that this chocolate will buy, which is liked by his elder brother. Immediately my son says, no, I don't want that chocolate. This time I don't want. Just because my daughter said, he's saying no. No, just because your mother-in-law said, you say no. Just because your friend said, you say no. These are all irrational beliefs, irrational thoughts. No, these things has to be avoided. Just because somebody whom you don't like says this, you should not say no to it. You should know what it is and why it is, and then you decide. These kind of irrational beliefs affects our mental health, affects our thought process. In the process, it affects our ability to perform. Albert Ellis, who has worked on a lot about this, he is saying that I must do. No, the other day I was also listening to one Facebook presentation where he says, do not work for perfection. Do not expect perfection all the time. We are all human beings. When you always work on perfection, thinking about perfection, then many times when you fail, we suffer. So we have some irrational beliefs like this. I must do well. I must do this presentation extraordinarily well. When I think like that, immediately the pressure goes up. The stress hormones come secrete. No, if I say that, whatever, the other day I'll just share. The other day I was talking with one of my colleagues in Central University. I said that I've been asked to give a presentation, and this will be my second time, but I'm a little nervous. How am I going to do this? And he told me, don't worry about that. You know, don't worry. I said that I'm not worried, but I'm just thinking about how will I be effective? How will I be perfect in my presentation? He said that they know a little bit, you know a little bit. So you know a little better. That's it. Don't worry about perfection. Just go and enjoy. No, I must do well. This kind of attitude also a lot of times affect us. If you the teacher, the example which I quoted before is the teacher. No, teacher asking a student to sing. Can you sing? Can I sing? Everybody can sing, but I must do well if I sing. That's why I'm not singing. See, I must do well. That point, that's what he's saying. This affects you. If you think that whatever I'm singing is better, then you will naturally go when the teacher calls and goes and sings. The second point is you must treat me well. The mother-in-law thinks that daughter-in-law has to treat her well. Daughter-in-law thinks mother-in-law has to treat us well. Because of that friction, entire mental health, the mind, everything collapses. The third point is world must be easy because you are lazy. We are lazy. How can the world be easy? You have to work for it. So these sort of irrational beliefs have to be overcome to have a positive mental health. This is what cognitive theory is highlighting. So in continuation with this, I just want to add one quote here. Just the next slide. Yeah, very, very important word, right? Do not magnify your problem. Magnify the solution to the problem. Most of the time, we worry about our problems. Why? We think about the problem, right? When you magnify the problem becomes big and big. It will not go down. It will not die down. But when you magnify the solution to the problem gets addressed. No? Uh, Albert Ellis is also talking about this. Many a times, when we have irrational beliefs, we magnify our problem. We magnify our irrational beliefs and we strengthen it, we reinforce it, we put it in our unconscious mind, and it becomes part of your character. Whenever you see your problem, no, and you magnify it, the result is failure. So keep this in mind, magnify the solution, try to find the solution. Great people work on solutions for the problem. They focus on how to find a solution. Everybody knows that there is a mistake, but who is going to correct it? The teacher identifies the mistake. We point out this is a mistake. Are we giving them the explanation where or how to correct it? We magnify, this is wrong, you have failed. This sentence there is a mistake. But how far we are magnifying the problem. We have to magnify the solution. If you can do that, definitely there is a way, there is a hope. Of course, time passes, everything changes. And the next one I'm just talking about, I'll just highlight on the humanistic view on mental health. Humanistic view talks about incongruence between the ideal self and real self. Humanistic view always talks about human beings are perfect. Human beings are perfect in the sense they are very good. They are born with natural, wonderful abilities, right? So that is the approach of humanistic view on psychology, on mental health. Here it talks about ideal self and real self. See, if your irrational beliefs are less, if your recognitions are more positive, your unconscious mind is more stable and sound, in the positive direction, the gap between the ideal self and the real self will be minimal. When that happens, no, you are going to excel. When the gap between the ideal self and the real self is more, you are going to, the going is going to be tough. But then the environment will, the other thing here, which I have not mentioned in the slide, is that this is in the environmental setup. The environment may be difficult, challenging, or compromising. But you as an individual, if you are able to cover the gap between your ideal self, I want to be a teacher. If that is your ideal self, then you go for it. You will attain it. If you want to be if you want to be an artist, but you join a course in teaching, then there is a huge gap which will never come together. Naturally, you will not be able to thrive. You will not be able to excel in your profession, even though you get a government job. Are you getting me? So the gap between the ideal self and the real self has to be minimized. So the thing is, the individual has to make a decision when it involves selecting a course. Now, we as government teachers, government people, we tell our children, I am a teacher, you become a doctor. This is purely a very, very bad thing. Even though he becomes a doctor, he will not enjoy life. He will not find satisfaction by being a doctor. So one has to be very careful, right? So the next slide. So the finally, I'll just wind off. What should be done is the next big question. The first one is build a healthy self. Now you have almost all of us are about 21 in this audience. So what should be done? What can be done? We have a beautiful brain, so we can do many things. We can do miracles, right? Build a healthy self-esteem, right? How you build a what do you mean by self-esteem? Valuing one's own self. If you have negatively conditioned yourself, you have to change it. You have to correct your thinking process. You have to correct your thought process. Everything is possible. Everything is easy for me. You should not have irrational beliefs that this is difficult, this is easy, this is complex. No, when you work it out, everything is possible for you. So build a high, healthy self-esteem. So identify your negative beliefs. So first thing, all your irrational beliefs, negative reinforcement, the prejudice thought process which you have to identify your negative beliefs, no, and you have to change it. You have to convert it into positive. Identify your positives. Equally is that you have to identify your positives. No, what are you good at? What are what are your interests? What are your hobbies? What are your desires? You have to identify those areas. No, now just by identifying them, matter doesn't get solved. Take on challenges head on. Now, when you are going to say that take on challenges, challenges can, if you are going to war, no, we cannot simply go and fight. You have to prepare. India and China are now preparing. No, we are building up. No, it is not that anybody and everybody can do. Taking challenges means you have to put effort. You have to put an effort. Only then you can take challenges, right? And you have to make it continuously. Only when you put an effort, you gain knowledge and you can be assertive. So these are the ways, some of the ways we can build your self-esteem. The second one is receive as well as give. The next slide. Receive as well as give. No, in our culture, we tend to negate when somebody gives us. You are very good. Wow, you did a great job. If somebody appreciates you, that is not a big thing. It was just casually I did. No, we tend to negate appreciation. That kind of attitude should not be there. No, there are psychologists say that we have to give positive strokes to our body, like, oh heart, you are doing great. Oh brain, you are doing wonderful. I'm so amazed that I'm able to do all these things. See how much things we are able to remember. No, we remember many things. Brain, you are doing amazing. Heart, you are pumping blood for my entire body. Thank you. That works on you. That positive stroke helps you. So if somebody appreciates you, thank you. tell them words like, thank you so much, so kind of you. And never say that, no need, that is not, say it was simple thing. Don't negate those kind of things. Be thankful for what God has done to you, what you have in your life, what you have in your hand. Be thankful as well as appreciate others. So a grateful heart is a magnet for miracles. So miracles can happen and will happen if you have the gratitude to receive it, right? The third point, the next slide is, um, create a positive family relationship and make friends who count, right? So we have to have a positive, healthy family system or relationship or communication. That is quite a challenge, but we have to, right? When there are personalities who are very close by, we have a lot of challenges. No, just an example, like you talk to a couple, no, if you if before marrying, if two people are fall in love, before marrying they see the positives and they are very happy. After marriage they see the negative and they couldn't accept it, they are not able to accept it. So issues like this happens. You think something, the other person thinks the opposite. So in spite of all these things, you should have a rational or mature approach to maintain a positive or sustain a positive environment or energy in the family. When you are in adolescent stage, you should have much more friendly approach with your children. So make friends who count, right? So you should have some healthy friends, very good friends whom you can trust and whom you can share. And that is very, very important. Next slide, please. Next slide. The next slide is figure out your priorities, right? Now, what do you mean by figuring out your priorities? No, the previous slide, previous slide. Figure out your priorities. Yeah, okay, figure out your priorities. See, maintaining mental health in a positive state is not just a simple thing. You have to work out. Nothing comes free. There is no free lunch in this world. Nothing is easy. Even though it is instant coffee, you have to pay for it. Nothing is free, no free lunch at all. And the other thing is nobody is too busy. It is just a matter of priority. When I was talking with my professor once again, he used to say that it is not the question of we don't have time. It is the question of setting your priorities. No, we have to set our priorities. What is important for me? Spending time here, watching TV, or studying, or working for my future. We have to prioritize it and we have to time schedule it. It's very important to set time limits and work on to completing that task. Only then we can complete our objective. So figuring out our priorities is very, very, very important. And it has to be done every time and any time, all the time. Then the next part is the next slide is learning to manage stress effectively. The next one, please. See, we are not living, the next slide. Get involved. Okay, all right. So the gets, all right. Learn to manage stress effectively, right? So here, we are not in a, what to say, smooth, easygoing world. We are in a world which is full of challenges. We have to face them. So we have to work for it. So there are situations where you will be under stress. There are situations where you will have to face it. So you as an individual should have some mechanism to identify those stressful moments and identify the reason for it and try to overcome it. So these are some of the measures one can do and work on to overcome stress. Stress is going to be there, but we have to fight it out. We have to, for that, we need to have a positive mental framework. That is very, very important. Then the next slide is get involved. No, I think it's the previous slide. I'll just go on quickly. Get involved. So whatever we do, we have to do it with involvement. For example, if you are doing a B.Ed course, you are undergoing a B.Ed course, we have to do it with involvement. Involvement doesn't mean that it is just 2 slides before, I think. But anyhow, you just listen. Involvement doesn't mean that you are being regular. For example, I am doing B.Ed, I'm sincere, I'm coming every day to B.Ed class and attending, I'm having 5 marks for attendance, I'm getting the full marks. That is not involvement. I'm submitting my assignments on time. That is not involvement. Involvement is not being regular, but it is learning the trick of trade. No, you are involving in such a way that you can flourish in that. You are involving in your micro teaching practice in such a way that you are gaining those required teaching skills. That kind of involvement is required. It is not you are regular to it. This is your world. No, I put that caption there. This is your world. Shape it or someone else will shape it. If you're not going to get involved, if you're not going to do with proper mindset, definitely somebody is going to shape you. If you're not realizing you're not having a positive mental health, so that you're not able to realize your full potential, then you're going to be under somebody. The next slide is about cope with stress that affects you, right? So cope with the changes that affects you. That I already told you, change is the only constant in this new world. Nothing is fixed. Today I'm happy, today I'm very comfortable, tomorrow it will change. Today I'm sad, tomorrow it will definitely change. No, so we have to be prepared. How we will be prepared? Only when you have a positive mindset. So expect the change, accept the change, deal with the change, be the change you want to be. When you can do all these things, only when you have a positive mental setup, so that you can expect, no, when you can accept, you can deal with it. Apart from that, you can be the change you want to be. You have to take control of the change. For example, like you are assigned a particular project. Now suddenly you have been put into some other project. So you go without interest. You are not so capable in that. But if you are prepared to expect change, you will accept it. You deal with it. Finally, you will come up in that project also in flying colors. All the software people are working like this. Why? They are given new projects. They have to learn continuously. If they say this is different, they will be thrown out. So world is like that. So you have to be prepared to expect changes. Today you might, before marriage, you might be loving your uh, wife or husband. After marriage, oh, what is this? You should you have to expect those changes in your life. Your life is not the same. No, so you should have the maturity to accept it. Only then you can enjoy. Otherwise, it will be difficult. So there are two ways I give: emotional coping and emotional coping, as well as the other one is problem solving. Emotional coping. You know, it's very important that I'm just take 5 or 10 minutes, 5 minutes here. I'll quickly wind up. Problems are not big. This was given by one important value here I wanted to highlight here is given in that blue uh, sketch. Problems are not big. It is the emotion one attaches to it makes it big or small. Very important value, right? Problems are not as such big. It is how we approach that problem. For example, right? If somebody falls, when you're walking by, somebody falls, what will be your reaction? Oh, be careful, be careful. You lift him up, right? Just imagine if your father falls, what you will do? Oh, be careful, be careful. Will that be your response? No, it will be much more, because your father, your mother, your son, your daughter, the emotion part makes it very big, makes it intense. No, so if you want to cope up, you have to address the emotional aspects. Any problem can collapse when you come out of it and see the emotion aspect of it. Naturally, the problem will collapse. All right. So you have to take the emotion out of it as far as possible. If your teacher scolds you, if your colleague scolds you, you remove the emotions, the problem will collapse. Immediately you will go and you can talk with the other person. Right. The second one is problem focused coping, which talks about involving rational thinking. You think about the real problem, you try to find out solution, and in the process you are able to address it. So the next slide, it talks about dealing with your emotions. So you have to deal with your emotion. You have to find your ways to manage your emotions effectively. Just go on to the next one. And last one is about spirituality. always there is somebody who is always above us. We, even though we are doing everything, still we need some support from uh, God Almighty. So if you have any issues, if you, there are issues where it will be like when you adjust, many times we feel like, why I am doing it all the time and every time. Yeah, we do it all the time and every time. We have to do it. You have to do it. It is a continuous and everyday process. Only you have to do it. There will be situations you will feel like that. For that, during those situations, you can look up so that God will help you to overcome or still remain high and positive in the process, able to manage yourself as well as maintain a positive mental health. And the final slide, just one or two slides remaining. The next slide is about, see all these people, they are smiling, they are doing a lot of wonders. They are all simple people. Abdul Kalam, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, all these people, they're all simple people, but we are talking about them because they have simple people with sound mental health went on to achieve great things. Why not you? Why not I? Why not us? Right? And the next slide, the final slide for this presentation is this also I want you to reflect upon. There are people who allow things to happen, and there are people who make things happen. So choose the best for you and follow it till the rest. And the next one is reference. So thank you one and all. Thank you for listening, giving me a patient hearing. And I thank the organizers, the patrons, the principal, the coordinators, and all the people for helping me, for having me for this session. Hope I had contributed something so that it will be helpful for leading your life in a positive manner. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Very wonderful session, sir. Congratulations.
Thank
Very
you,
wonderful
sir.
session.
Thank you,
Very
sir.
useful for our student community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful and valuable presentation. Here are some queries posted by the participants. May I read it out to the questions one by one, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
First question. The US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention show the suicide rates reach their highest point each year between March and August. How is the thinking of committing suicide is associated with mental process? Why the mind select the particular months to commit suicide?
Students, are you able to see
Yeah.
me?
So
Yes.
why we have this thought process?
Yes.
That's why.
Now,
No. Yes. Can I answer?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. A lot of people are trying to commit suicide. Why? You just think about your own self. No, in India also 1% of the population is going. So all these people are very healthy people. No, they are very healthy. They have a lot of facilities in US. They have a lot of facilities. They are exposed to everything. But the way we process the irrational beliefs one has, that affects you. The unconscious mind, which has suppressed a lot of emotions, right? The gap between the ideal self and real self, all these things affect the individual, and it makes the thought process like I have to be perfect. That all these things add pressure to the individual. Tomorrow anybody can be in that kind of a state. So it is highly important that you have to maintain a positive mental health. Nobody is there to help us. So even though you have everything, if you don't have a positive mental health, and if it is not consistent, and if it is not, you just think about the definition which I said, it is continuous, sustaining, progressive. These are the words which were used there. Continuous, it is sustainable, and it is progressive, it is character. It has to be part of you every day, any day and every day, in and out. Otherwise, it is a challenge. So many times some feeling overshoots us in the process, we attempt to commit suicide. So we have to be very careful. So the main point is that we have to provide a positive environment. The children should internalize a positive value or positive environment, positive identity, not a negative one. But it is easy for children or the human beings to grab the positive, negative value. When I used to tell, that my son gets quickly he is getting angry. He's developing the short temper. Then I started realizing, oh my God, I am short tempered. That's why he is. No? So the value he is quickly grabbing it. So as far as psychology is concerned, everything adds. We cannot predict anything because it is human mind, very complex. Maybe I have answered your question, I believe.
Okay, sir. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Yeah.
Next question. Some students will be from poor family background and they may suffer from depression and the pressure from the school. How could they overcome?
Okay. Yeah, of course. The main thing I've highlighted is that I just said this also there in the presentation where I said, after 21, now you are in the care of your parents, after which you are going to face your world all alone. 20, 21, 25, 30 years. After that, what happens? The next 50 years, you have to face it on your own. Nobody is going to, even your brothers won't come and help you. There are a lot of issues in terms of division of wealth. No, that kind of situation will change. The situation changes quickly. So you as an individual should self-instruct yourself. Nobody, your friends will say, what are you going? You are going to study. Come, we'll go and play. That's what the friends will say. But it is you who is deciding, should I go to play or should I sit and study? It is in your hands. That's why, in Bible, there is a word like judgment is for the individuals. You are responsible. You have to tell yourself. Nobody knows what you think. What goes into your mind. Nobody knows. You are alone responsible. So what positive psychologists say is that you have to tell yourself pause. You have to speak about yourself pause. I said gratitude. Oh, you are good. Oh, you have done well. Your heart is pumping nicely. You are able to think. You are able to remember. Well, wonderful brain. Thank you. You have to instruct. Nobody can help you out. So in terms of overcoming stress, overcoming anxiety, when you are in this COVID period and when you are very poor, there are many people who have come up in spite of all their difficulty and challenges. Our prime minister was one who was working in a tea shop. He has come up. See his personality, see his mindset, see his pressure he is handling. China is creating problem. Coronavirus is attacking. He has to manage. He cannot run. He has to face it. Mental health is making him face, making him tough. Who is going to help him? We are all criticizing. But are we helping? No, it is like that. You have to do it on your own. You have to self-instruct. That is the only way out. And in psychology, there is no fixed answer. It all applies to the individual level. How you feel it, how you react to it. So you have to find out way. Try to meditate, do all the practices which are there, and try to instruct your own mind, change your thought process by cognitive therapy or like things like that, and work on it. Thank you. Ma'am, any other question?
Yes, sir. Next
Yes,
question.
yes, ma'am.
How to handle intellectual incompatibility with the life partner to enhance well-being?
Intellectual incompatibility means like, is it like mentally retarded or just mild? So you have to accept. Change is the only thing. You have to accept it. When you accept it, problem collapses. If you recognize it like it's an intellectual, what to say, defect or there, and if you recognize it, you start thinking about it, it creates more problem. No, sir, we cannot avoid that situation. You have situation like this. You should not, in the first place, you are not supposed to say like that, right? He or she is your partner, right? So you have to take him up to some kind of therapy, or you have to have some kind of counseling where you and him try to find a common value or common base so that you work it out. Because God has, I have told you, brain has enormous capacities. We are using it when you few fraction of it we are using it. So there is nothing called intellectual defect. But if it is a mentally retired, specially challenged, differently able person, then you have to adapt. And that also is mentioned in that definition of health, I think. Adapt. It is important to adapt and adjust. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Next
ma'am.
question. I cannot have proper and calm sleep. The thought runs continuously at the time of sleep. How should I deal with it?
Yeah, maybe like whatever you are good in it, you are good in what are your hobbies, you have to identify. See, the thing is we have to diversify our activities. No, we are in a materialistic world, fast moving world, global village. Everything has is going on in a great speed. So most of the time we are using our routine works all the time. In the process it adds to our pressures. So it is better that you take a time. I think there is a slide on that. You take a break, right? You do different things. For example, you are good in reading, you are good in writing. Try those things. So focus on positives so that you are relaxing your mind, you are channelizing your negative energy out. And in the process, you are able to overcome situations like avoiding sleep. Other than that, maybe you have to go for a doctor and counsel or get a counselor to counsel, get yourself counsel. You have to identify, maybe it might be like the unconscious mind, no, as psychoanalytic theory talks about. There are some issues, something which you have repressed that is bothering you, that is showing off like this, some kind of fear that can be taken out only through counseling or by identifying. You have to identify, sit and think about yourself. We have spent not 21 years. 21 years into 365 is a huge amount, right? You have to invest on your own thought process. We talk about investing in land and gold. Invest in yourself, your thought process. Definitely you will get an answer. Definitely you will get a solution. Everything is in your hands, in our hands. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question. Nowadays, overthinking has become a real problem which causes anxiousness. It may be regarded the future or the current situation. How can we deal with this?
Yeah, overthinking. Even I used to think my son is knowing many things. When I was working in this Kind Master, I used to edit videos. I used to present some videos in my channel. My son guides me in certain things. You can do like this. You can. He thinks more. He knows more than me. And sometimes I used to think he knows more than what is required. I also used to think like that. But the brain has the processing capacity, right? All it requires is talked about healthy family relationship. You have to spend time. When you do that, it will definitely, the overthinking becomes more positive and constructive. Maybe overthinking, the other way you can look at it is overthinking as a problem means it is related to some kind of stress. No, it is related to some kind of suppression of feelings. You're talking about a child. So he is thinking too much means he is doubting himself. If he is doubting himself, he has some negative energy, negative thought process going inside him. So that has to be identified, that has to be located. It is better we have to, my wife also sometimes used to, my son used to dream a lot. He used to enjoy dreaming. And he always says that it is not possible, this is not good for me. So my wife says that we have to take him to a counselor. No, so we have to change our mind. Like if there are some issues that your child is facing, take him to a counselor. It is very important to change or correct him when he is very young, or talk to him, maintain a constant interaction so that it can be addressed quickly and effectively. Please don't shy away from taking your children to counselors. Take them. It is needed because they are under severe stress. A lot of people are on stress, in stress.
Thank you, sir. Last
Thank you.
question. Many of people, especially women, suffering from hypertension and depression in this COVID situation. What are your suggestions to magnifying the solution?
Magnifying the solution depends on the individual in the first place, right? What might be good for me might not be good for me. That's what the mental health is, not seeking someone's help. You have to get your help, right? Maybe like you are under stress. Yes, obviously some people lose their job, so there is less amount of financial transaction in the family. This affects you. But only thing, maybe like you have to change, you have to go for alternatives. Just thinking alone doesn't work. You have to put efforts, no? So in the situation, we have to maintain some kind of calmness. We have to tell our mind that this will change. It will soon change. Everything will happen for the good. We have to constantly tell our mind, educate our mind, train our mind to see the positive and not the negative. Just I remember one thing which came in my mind right now is that a teacher has lost his job. I mean, he is a private teacher, and all the schools are closed, and most of the teachers don't have job. So what happened? What can we do? So they tested maybe it came in a paper or in the Facebook, I think. They tested 1 week how to prepare biryani, no chicken biryani, and he makes that one and he survives it. Right? No, now he says that I'm investing 600, I'm getting 1,000. I'm not saying that you have to change like that. No, like this, innovatively people think, because change is always there. Change is the only way out. No, the other thing I want to say is that we are all human beings. We are not trees. Trees are stable. Its roots are deep. It cannot move. It cannot change. We are humans. We can move here to there to there, everywhere, anywhere, and any time. So you have a beautiful brain. You have wonderful opportunities. All it requires is that you have to see the opportunity. And you do that. Sitting at home, a lot of people are creating wonderful YouTube videos, and lakhs of people are watching, and they are getting paid. So you think out of the box. As I was telling that the example, don't stick only with the circle with the teacher puts on the board. Think the world is wide open. There is a famous story. Pigs see the world only when they are taken up for the butcher shop. They are tied. The legs are tied and they are taken. Only then the pigs start seeing the world upside down. Until then, the pigs used to see only the ground. When they are taken for butchering, they are hanged. Then they see both the legs are tied up, they see up. The world is so big. So you have to be positive. Of course, telling is easy, but practicing is tough. You need to work it out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful and excellent clarification. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Feedback is an equally important tool for the successful completion of a virtual seminar. So now I invite Mrs. P. Jessistella Vinoda, librarian of our college, to give away the feedback for this session.
Good afternoon to everyone. I would like to congratulate Professor Arun Christopher on the informative speech given by him on mental health and well-being. The topic was timely, and sir, you presented the material on the new innovations in a way that everyone could understand. These days, we find so many educational institutions are conducting webinars on mental well-being. It could be interpreted that during this pandemic period, all people, irrespective of any professions, feel disturbed on various grounds. Man is a social animal. He wants to mobilize himself from one place to another for some reason or for no reason. When he is forced to maintain social distancing, his mental health disturbs. Not only that, due to the arrival of various social media, generation gap, human beings neglect or avoid to socialize with other people. Really, sir, your webinar on mental health proved that there are so many preventive measures as well as ways to challenge and test ourselves. It also helps me to know that the well-being of our colleagues, family members, relatives, friends, neighbors are also plays a vital role in our mental well-being. Thank you, sir. I take this
Thank you.
opportunity to appreciate the initiatives taken by the principal, Dr. S. Chandrasekharan, for inviting such a wonderful speaker for this day. I also appreciate the coordinators, Mrs. Jasmine Pravina and Mrs. Anita Ruth, for the effort to make this webinar a grand success. Thank you one and all for the opportunity given to me to give feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Every function should end with a great vote of thanks, and we have responsibility to touch some heart. On behalf of our management, now I invite Mrs. S. Anitaru, Assistant Professor of Mathematics, to deliver vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to all. First of all, I thank our God Almighty for giving us good health during this COVID crucial period. No matter what language you speak, A kind and smiling thank you always speak well comes from. On behalf of our management, principal, staff, and students, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to the honorable delegates who blessed us with their presence and took out valuable time of your busy schedule. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for Mr. T. Arun Christopher, Assistant Professor in Psychology, Central University of Kashmir, Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir. He presented the topic mental health and well-being in an enthusiastic way. Really, this session was very useful to us, and he clarified the participants' queries in an excellent way. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to thank our college secretary, Advocate Dinesh, and our college principal, Dr. S. Chandrasekharan, for supporting throughout this webinar. Thank you, sir. I thank all our college faculty and participants from various colleges for joining this meeting and who makes the webinar in a grand success. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we have come to the end of this session. We request the participants to stand for the national anthem. Thank you.
Thank
Feedback
you.
link will be posted in the chat box, and we
Wow.
request the participants to click on the link for receiving the e-certificate. Thank you all for your kind patience and participants. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. My special thanks to the principal for having me for this session. I also thank all the organizers or the organizing team for inviting me for this program. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
பாபு சார், பாபு சார், சார் லீவ் ஆகலாமா சார்? ஓகே.
சொல்லுங்க.
லீவ் ஆயிக்கலாமா?
ஆமா சார், ஆமா மேடம், லீவ் ஆகிக்கலாம்.
சரி சார், ஓகே சார். நான் நிறைய பேருக்கு ஃபீட்பேக் ஃபார்ம் போட்டேன்னா
போட்டீங்க. சரி, ஓகே ஓகே ஓகே.
லிங்க். சரி சார். இருக்கணுமோ?
ஒரு ஆள் மட்டும் இருந்தீங்கன்னா அந்த மெசேஜ் பாக்ஸ் மட்டும், சாட் பாக்ஸ் மட்டும் பார்த்து ஏதாவது ரெஸ்பான்ஸ் பண்ணிட்டீங்களா?
அதுக்கு தான் பண்ணிட்டேன்.
சரி சரி.
எவ்வளவு நேரம் நீங்க லீவ் ஆனதுக்கு அப்புறம் நான் லீவ் ஆகுறேன்.
ஓகே.
சரி சார், நீங்களே என்டர் பண்ணிடுங்க.
ஜெயஸ்ரீ மேம்
சார் சொல்லுங்க சார் சொல்லுங்க
100 பேரு ஃபீட்பேக் ஃபார்ம் ஃபில் ஆனதும் அது லாக் ஆகும். லாக் ஓப்பன் பண்ணி விடணும். அப்பதான் அது ஃபீட்பேக் ஃபில் பண்ண முடியும். இல்லைன்னா ஒர்க் ஆகாம போயிடும். அதை ஓப்பன் பண்ணி
அது சார் எல்லாமே நம்ம எடுத்துதான் வச்சிருக்கோம் நம்ம. பட் ஆனா அந்த நெட் ப்ராப்ளத்துல இதாகும். நான் பாத்துட்டேன்.